From Germany.
Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And which city? Which part?
It's called Bad Oeynhausen. Bad Oeynhausen. And it's pretty much in the middle of the country, a little bit off to the west. So if you drew a line between Amsterdam and Berlin, you would pretty much like land in Bad Oeynhausen. Well, the one interesting thing is that we have a big clinic here. It's a heart clinic. They come to our town and we have one of the biggest facilities, one of the biggest clinic for heart surgeries here. So a lot of people come here and stay, let's say for like 3 weeks or a month or so. And we have a pretty big facility where people stay and they do rehab stuff and then they send them off. They come from like all across the country. They pretty much come from like all Europe to us. How do I like the food? I love it. I love German food. My favorite, actually, I have to say, my favorite part about German food is breakfast. I always eat those rolls. And I know I've been here now for like 3 weeks. I've probably gained like 5 pounds just eating those rolls. They're like little, they're called Brötchen. Yeah, I know, bread. We love bread. And you get them in all different shapes and sizes. We have, do you know brezel? Brezel? They're like shaped like a heart, and you see them from like Oktoberfest and stuff like that. We eat those, yeah, exactly. We eat those kind of things for breakfast with seeds on top, with cheese on top, with cold cuts. That's actually my favorite part about like German foods. And then yes, I love dinners too, but that's a different story. Yes. Yes, my mom cooks. She's not into cooking though. It was more my grandmother who used to cook like fancy dishes for our family.
So your dad don't cook? No.
Nope.
And your mom is not that into it?
She's not that into it. She cooks, but she's not that good at it. You know what I mean? She knows she's not an excellent cook.
Okay.
It skipped generations. It came from my grandmother straight to me. I love to cook.
Oh, that's good.
And she benefits right now because I'm cooking every night. My favorite dish is Rouladen. My grandmother can cook it, and I can cook it. I've practiced in the last couple of years. I've practiced quite a bit because my husband was pretty much the force behind, me getting into cooking, because he was like, "You're from Germany. What do you guys cook over there? Can you cook like a fancy German style dinner?" I can make it. My grandmother can make it. It's funny because we're making it next week for Christmas.
Oh.
And my mom wanted to buy. She said, "Let's buy it. It's too much work." And I was like, no. It's Christmas. I'm going to make it. Yes. So what it is, it's beef. It's very thinly sliced. And it's usually a pretty large piece, because what you want to do is fill it with bacon, with mustard. You can put a pickle or onion inside, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then you roll it up. You roll the whole thing up, and then that's the tricky part. So if you want to make that, that's the tricky part. You have to be careful how you do that, because you need to get cooking string, or I think it's called cooking string. You have to wrap up the meat and kind of like, tie it closely so that it just doesn't open up and everything falls out. You would need some type of string that you can put in the oven. And then you take those, those rolled up beef thingies, and you fry them in a pan just with a little bit of oil. And you want to get them like all nicely like browned up all the way around. and then you add a little bit of liquid. I usually use like beef broth, and then you simmer that whole thing either in the oven or you can put it on the stovetop, and you simmer it for, depends on how big your rouladen are, but like I would say at least 1.5 hours. You can put them in the oven if you have like a pot that can go in the oven, or you can just leave it on the stovetop and put the lid on. And then it needs to get like really soft and tender, the meat. So you want to cook it for, like I said, 1.5 hours or so. Yeah, well, first of all, my favorite dish is because I like the taste. It just tastes really, really good. You serve it with, you can serve it with different things, but I usually have it with mashed potatoes, red cabbage, and carrots. Those are like my 3 favorite side dishes to go with the meat. And I just love the whole combination. I mean, the beef is salty. The red cabbage is sweet. I like that combination. It reminds me of, family traditions. We usually always make it for Christmas. We usually always had like big family get-togethers where we would eat that dish. And because I like cooking and I just like to spend time in the kitchen, it's a process. This dish takes time. To prepare the meat alone can take a little while until you've figured out how to put that stupid string around the meat. So I enjoy cooking it as much as I like to eat. I also like to prepare it. If you get it perfect, this meat will just like fall apart. Once you get the string off, it still stays in that shape. But if you cut into it, it's like super tender and super yummy. Yummy feeling. What kind of feeling? That's an interesting question. Well, it just makes me feel good because it's usually means I have good company. I have people that I love around me. It's usually in very nice atmosphere when we have like, the Christmas tree up or something like that. It's usually at night. So overall, it's not just a dish. I feel like it's more like like an experience. Yeah. It used to be very much a Christmas dish for us. It kind of like expanded a little bit because my husband loves that dish, and it's not enough to make it once a year. So every once in a while, maybe for a birthday party or maybe for, I don't know, for Easter or something. But it is for us. It's like our family tradition, I guess. And it reminds me of my grandmother because my grandmother was always the person who made it. I kind of like see her, standing in the kitchen making that dish. And that just, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good because it brings back, great memories.